right. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in from all over the country and world. My name is Alicia Quarles. I'm an Emmy-winning journalist. You might have seen me Good Morning America 3, the Associated Press, Daily Mail TV. I've been around. And this is like my third, fourth Registry Real Talk. I love it that much. I'm back again. So welcome to Nanit's Registry Real Talk. Today we're going to talk everything registry you should have and should not have on your registry, plus those lovely days of early parenthood. Of course, we want to thank our co-sponsors, Canopy, Nesting, and Bobby. Literally, Bobby got me through the first year of the twins' life. So thank all three of our sponsors so much. And also, of course, we're doing an in-event giveaway throughout. So just follow the chat for your chance to win. And you guys, you can win really big. This is always a big hit. You can win every single thing on your registry. Here's how you do it. You just email social@nanit.com. You can win your entire registry, but you got to make sure that, of course, a Nanit is on your registry list, and Nanit will choose one lucky winner. All right, so before we get this started, I really only work with clients that I genuinely believe in. Can I tell you guys how amazing Nanit is? As I said, I think this is my fourth Registry Real Talk. I love it that much. So as a mom, I'm a mom of 1-year-old twins, you guys, and I just had severe anxiety. Like, oh my God, twins. It was an unexpected pregnancy at 41 years old. One thing all you parents know, parents to be, you need is peace of mind. So you need to be able to sleep, to rest. And Nanit has really provided that. And I think one moment, I've had many where I love my Nanit, but one was I was in the twins nursery and they were probably 10 months old. And I was going to go to a holiday party that night, but the nanny hadn't arrived yet. I didn't have any help, but I wanted to get dressed. So I kind of creep away. I shut the door and I go in my room and I start getting dressed, but I turn on my Nanit because I didn't hear them, but I turn it on, I hear them, I see them, and they were playing. They were just playing so peacefully. They didn't need mom. They were doing their thing. And that made me feel so good. It brought peace of mind. So those of you who have a Nanit, you'll have many moments like that. But first off, let me just introduce our panel. Of course, we've got Colton, we've got Brendan, we've got Holly, and we've got Jamie. So you guys ready for a great panel? Everybody out there?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So Brendan, you're up first. You've got 2 kids. So tell us how the Nanit has helped in your parenting journey.
I mean, exactly like you're saying, just peace of mind is the, single thing you just, especially with your first kid, you have your first baby and, it's your first monitor, you set up everything and you're watching it like a hawk all the time. It's like you become a kind of like, it's like the best TV show you've ever watched at the start, but it's also the scariest thing you ever did.
Right.
We found ourselves like commando crawling in the room to wonder, like, is this thing working? Because like, you think they're not moving, so suddenly there's a delay or but over time, obviously you figure out that, you're just kind of crazy. And as new parents are, because there's no guide and we're just figuring it out, but it's been the best thing ever. I mean, we have 2 kids now, we have 2 Nanits. The split screen function is like my dream. When that came out, I guess in the last 3 years, it wasn't available at the start, and just awesome. And traveling, just the best thing for traveling.
Exactly. So Colton, congratulations, because you and Jordan have a little baby on the way. So congrats.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so what has it been like putting together your baby registry? Is it confusing or do you know what you want?
I will admit Jordan has definitely taken the lead on it. I've been very engaged in like learning and sort of taking it all in. But we also, are working with a doula to just help like build our list with us, which I highly suggest to anybody out there because they have been through pretty much everything. So like for someone to come in and say, I see why you probably added this, you don't really need it. And or I think like one of the common mistakes we did early on was we added like 30 pacifiers of like the same one, and she's like, you need to order 10 varieties because you don't know which one he's going to be able to take and like. So just having somebody with like the experience was huge for us to build it. But it was a little overwhelming, I'm not gonna lie, but after adding products like Nanit is so easy because it's like we know that we needed a great camera system, we know we needed a travel function, we know we need split screen. So like having like that peace of mind, like what you were just talking about, like having peace of mind for us is everything. So we knew that that was an easy add.
Okay, so speaking of peace of mind, as you just said, as Brendan said, when you're new parents, you want to sleep, you try to sleep, but you are worried. Are they okay? You're always checking on them. So for Holly, Jamie, what products are best for safe sleep?
Depending on where you live, I'm a huge fan on like a good humidifier, to be honest. Humidifiers come in very handy. For the first year, you don't really need products necessarily. Like a monitor is good, but nothing goes in the crib with the baby for the first year. So, a lot of people buy these bedding sets that have like bumpers and quilts and all of this stuff. Like none of that is any good. Don't put it in there. And I'm just a big fan of like good sleep sacks, and like swaddle blankets are good, but there's a company. What is that in your hand right now?
The one I have here is the Lulu Lollipop one, and it's like just a few thin layers of muslin cotton, so it's super light. So for anyone that's having a summer baby, I highly, highly recommend finding a very lightweight sleep sack, because some nights it might just be a sleep sack and a diaper, and that's it.
So Brendan, for you, as I said, like one of my favorite moments the Nanit caught my kids was just them playing. Like they think I'm their triplet, so they always want to play, but just to see them playing, I was like, oh, this is so sweet. What's the best moment or moments the Nanits caught for you?
I mean, just to back up on that for people who possibly don't have it in it, it stores all the memories, which is awesome. So you can go back and watch and screen record, capture, download all these things, which is amazing. Because also, if you're traveling, you miss it, and your partner tells you about it, you can go watch it yourself, which is also cool. My favorite one was we came back from summer vacation last year, and he jumped his first night back in the crib. He jumped out, but we hear him. He jumps out and he goes, "I'm Superman," and he just like left. And then we got on because you can talk. Another great feature, you can talk to the Nanit, and your kids, it scares them sometimes. They're like, "Whoa, are they in?" And they'll like go back to sleep. Like you can say, "Go back to." We're like, "Cool, Superman, get back in your crib," and he's like, "No, Superman, no," and just like left. And it was hilarious. But now the cutest moments we have now are he'll go in and he wanted to share a room with his baby sister. So he doesn't have a crib anymore. So he'll go to the side and talk to her, try and sing her to sleep if she's crying and stuff. And so you get the funny moments, you get the sweet moments, all sorts of stuff.
I'll add to that the voice function is so great, because especially if you finally actually get a date night again, being able to check in over the camera can de-escalate any kind of bedtime situation. If they're with someone that they're like, no, I'm gonna wait for my parents, you can just get right in there, deal with it, done.
Yeah, I call that the voice of God. I don't know if that's really it, but you know what I'm saying? When you're traveling or you're away, I'm like, mommy's here. And they're like, what is happening? So Colton, on your registry, was there anything that you struggled with? Like, should I put this on there? Should I not?
Jordan works in social impact and politics and did a lot of work with, climate. So we're looking for like a lot of green and renewable, which sometimes is really hard to find in baby. But so I would say we're more, ingredients focused. We are more like ethically sourced, companies that we've been working with and sometimes it's hard to like find that access to that information. But it was definitely something that we sort of went through our thought process as we were building our registry, just to make sure that we're building it as smart as we can.
Okay, so Jamie and Holly as the experts and you, Brendan, as the dad. Let's talk strollers.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is like the strollers are the Wild West when you think about it. What should people be looking for in terms of safety, functionality, and they're not cheap?
Who wants
Should I
to
take
start?
safety? I'll take safety. First, just my main things. Make sure that before you put them in a regular stroller seat, not like a bassinet or an infant attachment of some sort, make sure that they are actually the minimum size, weight, height, any requirements in the user manual, because not all strollers will fit a tiny baby from day one, especially not upright. Please, if you're having a summer baby, please don't cover them with a blanket. That can create like a little thermos effect. So make sure you're using any of the built-in canopies. You can get UV protective clothing for any exposed skin, but just be super careful with stuff like that. My last point would be always, always, always use the harness. Manufacturers wouldn't pay to put those on if they weren't there for a good reason. So we have those safety regulations to keep our little ones safe, and we don't want to launch any kids off of a curb or anything.
I would say across the board, like if your product has a harness, always use it. Like high chair, car seat, stroller. I have unfortunately witnessed a lot in the 20 years I've been doing this, and like have seen babies fall out of car seats with like their dad walking with them down the sidewalk. So use a harness. With strollers, I would say like you need to figure out what features are important to you, like reversible seats, car seat compatibility, the fold. I think a lot of people get too worked up on how a stroller folds. Like you buy a stroller to push, you're spending very little time folding a stroller up. Now you still need to figure out how it works, if it will fit in your car, if it's good for travel, all of that. But there are too many strollers on the market, which is kind of fun and obnoxious at the same time. And then to Colton's point, if you're looking at like more eco-friendly companies, you know, a lot of companies now on the market are doing like stroller fabrics that are made with recycled water bottles, and their plastic components are recycled ocean plastics. So you have to do your research on that. And a lot of companies also have gotten away from rain shields that have PVC in them, which is pretty great.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
What is because I know like the car seat that we have on our registry right now is part of a stroller too. So are those as the same safety and regulations as like a regular car seat, or do you have to have both?
Car seats, they all have to meet set standards to be on the market. I would say it depends on what you are using. Like if it's like a travel system kind of thing, or if it's like something like the even flow shift that Holly has, or like a Duna where it's like a car seat with wheels that pop out. There's a big discussion about those products.
Got it.
That's why I was
Going to you next, Brendan. Yeah, tell us.
on this, because trying to feel out the expert, and just as a user and an expert in my own head, but not obviously a professional at being a stroller or car seat expert. I mean, we're a big Duna family. Jamie
in Canada?
That one? No, in America.
No.
They don't have Duna in Canada, right?
No, you don't?
No, we don't. No, but he's not living there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it comes there. I don't get stopped at the border when I arrive with it, which is nice. But no, we use we've been big Duna, especially New York is tough, right? You get in taxis a lot. So in and out of taxis, Duna is for on the go, like dropping wheels down, and then how you can fasten it is to get in and out of Ubers, taxis is maybe the most convenient thing for like inner city travel. And then I can't speak to others. I've had Cybex, I've had Ergo Baby, I've had I don't even know, like all the thing we've gone through the gamut of stuff. It's all, to me, we have a narrow entranceway. And then I just think about in New York, I'm like, what is a comfortable ride for people? Because the Duna, for instance, people are like, oh, I'm just gonna get the Duna and that's it. And I'm like, well, your kid is gonna, first of all, it's so hot, and then there's no ventilation, and then the wheels are so firm, so it's not a really fun ride around the city, and you can't attach like a board to it if you have a second kid, all the things. So I think it's everything is kind of dependent where you are. If you have a big, garage and you can just roll in and out, your stroller choice is going to be very different than someone who's coming in out of a tight apartment or going upstairs or things like that, or has to get in.
Urban stroller needs are also very different than suburban stroller needs, because like in New York, where I started, your stroller is your car, because you're not in and out of a car all day. So like your stroller has to hold all your stuff. It's got to have really good wheels. And in suburbia, if you're like not walking a ton and you're like in and out of your car going to the mall, you may not need something as substantial. So
I'm
seeing in there too. It's like
at the bottom of this thing,
strollers cost so much, and it's such a big commitment. That's why I was like,
no, it is.
It's overwhelming because you're spending a lot. It's not like a casual purchase, so you have to research, but then they all like seem like great options.
Yeah. And I think you guys make good points. Sorry, Carl, I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, so here in North Carolina, I have 3 strollers. So one is the Epa Baby, by far my favorite. So obviously Mama multiples. But even if you have 2 kids, I love the fact that they stack, right? So it's still the same width as if you had a singleton, but it's just amazing. Also, the fact that the car seats, you don't even need a base. You can use the seatbelt to lock them in. I have a base, but I'm just saying if you run around, love the Duna for the city. 1000% agree. Then also I have the Bugaboo, which I like, but it just takes up a lot of space.
The
So,
donkey?
yes.
You know this, I was one of the first people to ever see the donkey. And the I'm old. So a trick with the donkey that a lot of people don't talk about is when you're folding it up to put it in your car,
Okay.
collapse it back into single mode.
Really?
Yeah, just flip the triggers on the handle and collapse it back. And that way it's the same width as a single. Then you pull it out and expand it again and pop the seats in.
Jamie. Okay. Thank you, sir.
I got
Appreciate
you.
that.
I got
It
you.
is wealth of knowledge. Okay. So
Bugaboo is how I got into this.
I'm looking at your questions as they come in, so send them in. Desiree wants to know how to enter the giveaway. So Desiree, just email social@nanit.com for a chance to win everything, but make sure a Nanit is on your registry. Okay, for the entire panel, and again, everybody write us in. I'm going to incorporate your questions as we go on throughout this hour. For the entire panel, Colton, listen up. What's the one thing that Colton doesn't need on his baby registry, in your opinion?
Oh man.
I said
Well,
this before, I'll say it
the
again, a
obvious is
wipe warmer.
there's
No
not a
wipe warmer.
mother in my relationship, so that it changes some things.
Breast pump.
Yes, there we go.
Harry
So
Potter.
We are ordering one for our surrogate. So
Oh, okay. So,
But
the
very
one-
seriously, like no car seat accessories, please. Don't get anything that didn't already come with your car seat or isn't made by that brand and approved for use with it, because that was one of the biggest mistakes I made before I was into any of this. I got all of the accessories, later found out that most of them, if not all of them, were actually making my car less safe. So save your money on that and get something a little bit nicer somewhere else.
we have mirrors, and then we have kits ready to go for the back of our car, like little to-go kits on the road.
good.
I'm going to agree with a lot of the people commenting, because we had a baby nurse for our first baby, which was really nice, and she convinced me to get a bottle warmer and wipe warmers. I didn't.
No.
As soon as she left, I was like, the baby doesn't. It's just like such an extra step, and you're already struggling so much to understand your time and their time and like all the processes. And like, I would get the best diaper bin you can get that has the least smell and is easiest to change bags versus like a wipe warmer and a bottle warmer. Like, it just doesn't.
Wipe warmers, they also, like, when your kid is out and about, they're gonna hate cold wipes. So just
Yeah,
like your hands.
Yeah,
But
your
what I will
baby's-
say, there are products like Oxotot has one that's like a weighted wipe dispenser that's terrific, because that way you could pull wipes out with one hand while you have a hand on the kid. And those are great. Those are wonderful, wonderful, but warmers are stupid.
Wait, Morgan asked, our car seat rear mirror is safe. We added mirrors to ours. Is that okay?
Okay, so let's chat about this, Jamie. We don't love mirrors in a general sense from a car seat safety perspective as certified CPSTs. But the reason that we say that is just because they can lead to distracted driving, which was my problem as a new parent. But additionally, they can become projectiles. They can fly around in a crash. And sometimes they feel like they're really secure, but if the joints of how it's like produced are a little flimsy, they can break. And so I always say, just imagine where your child's face is in alignment with the mirror. Most crashes are frontal, which means everything that's in the back of the vehicle is going to fly toward the front of the vehicle. And if that mirror is directly in front of your child, the mirror is going right at them. So our advice is, one, try without. If you absolutely can't, try without, like you're just, nope, my anxiety says no. Can I put it on the adjacent seat? Like, just tilt it over at them. Just try to find a way to make it safer, something that's a little bit softer, like a tummy time mirror. There's a few ways to get around it. But I always said I would look at a red light, and I was looking the entire time, so I had to take it out.
We always tell people, anything that's going to go in the back seat near your kid in a car seat, smack it against your head. And if you don't like the way it feels, don't put it back there.
I feel like a bad mom right now because I went through like 4 different mirrors and I finally found ones that
No,
work.
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
No.
But,
Ooh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, so Morgan asked, I think one of the best things I love is my Dr. Brown sterilizer. I have two. But Morgan asked a good question. How often should we be sterilizing bottles?
That depends on what you're using in the bottle. So you always want to sterilize your bottles when they're new. And if you are a formula feeding person, you need to sterilize them frequently. Breast milk does not grow bacteria and things like that, like formula bottles do. So with breast milk bottles, you don't have to do it as often, but if you're formula, you want to sterilize fairly frequently.
Brendan, was there anything that you and Hannah put on your registry that actually was for you, like self-care, just like this is for dad?
No. You're so, as of for like Colton's gonna go through this, you overbuy and you over ask you have so much stuff with baby one, like second baby is clearly secondary, but you just like the amount of stuff we had first time versus second, you're like, if you only knew, you wouldn't need half the stuff. So I'm happy we didn't ask for anything because you end up with so much stuff, and space again in New York is hard to come by versus like a garage and a basement. So there's just, less is actually more. It's just hard to learn that until you go through it.
Our baby's closet is currently full already, and we're still
I know.
It's
You just start stacking, and also every friend you have is so excited to give you all their junk.
Already, we're getting gifted like Christmas outfits and onesies and all of these things that we're like, great, we're gonna store this for 6-8 months. I was like, this is
how
great.
they push it on you. So I mean, I do it now, so I'm like, I brought you the greatest thing. Here you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So Colton, are you trying to be as eco-friendly as possible with your registry?
We are. I mean, we're just being conscious of it. I would say, like, it is hard to a certain point because, obviously, like the diaper industry is a challenge in itself, and so like just navigating like realistically, we're going to be parents and we want to do what's best for our baby, but like we also want to be conscious of it. We've had a lot of fun. It's been really bonding for us too to build it together. I think that was like one thing that surprised us was like having, our rule of thumb in our relationship as a whole is just like, if I don't have a strong opinion about it, I'm not going to like put up a big fight. So just seeing what he's opinionated about as far as baby products go, and then same with me. And I'm gravitating more into like the clothing and the apparel. I'm already like wanting to dress him up and put him in cute outfits.
Okay, what do you all, this is for everybody, Colton, you too, think is the most underrated baby product?
Mattresses.
Oh,
You
Really?
invest in a good mattress, because the baby in theory will be sleeping. And a lot of mattresses, I did not know anything about mattress construction before I got into baby world. And when you look at cutaways of mattresses, like specifically an inner spring coil mattress, there will be a layer of gray material in the mattress that's used as padding over the coils. And that is remnants from the manufacturing process. And we don't really know like what's in that, what's off gassing out of a mattress. And because a baby's face is like right here, that's coming up. So you want to look at like low VOC, Green Guard certified, go as organic or as non-toxic as possible. And I know like Nestig, who's part of this tonight, they work with Naturepedic quite a bit. And I'm a giant Naturepedic advocate.
love it.
We have Nestig. We have a Nestig crib and did the Naturepedic
Right.
mattresses with them as well.
So you're good. Brendan, what would you say is the most underrated product?
I mean, it sounds like this is planned, but I would say the Nanit, honestly, just because you can get like a cheap monitor and feel like and obviously it does fine, but if you think you can be out of sight, out of mind, like just having Wi-Fi capability and being able to see wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you're out with friends or like, whatever you're doing. I'm still at 3.5. I'm checking it all the time. It's not just for babies. It's just amazing. And there's just something you can't replace with feeling like you can connect through voice, through visual, through whatever, from wherever you are in the world at any time. And I don't know, everything else I've had, there's a version of it that's good. It just kind of like, to me, that stands alone in its category. And it's not underrated because it is highly rated, but I don't know. To me, it's like, it's the one thing we really can't live without. And I would say that even if I wasn't on a panel for Nanit right now.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Okay. Holly, as our expert, take us home with this one.
So I would just like to add to Brendan's point from a safety perspective. Again, this is just me being me genuinely. I love the Nanit because the cord is contained in a channel when you have it in the stand, the wall mount or the full stand, not the, I forget what it's called, but there's like a travel stand too. But that means that it can't get into baby sleep space. And a lot of people are very, very keen, understandably, to have that bird's eye view of their baby, but it's difficult to get that safely. And I feel like Nanit nailed it. Also, saying this very genuinely, and Jamie knows this because Jamie comes and stays at my house every now and then. I'm obsessed with the Nanit sound and light machine.
I need
and
one.
My kids, full disclosure, my kids are 6 and 9, so we're out of baby. And for me, I feel like I now have the perspective of what's kind of been through the test of time, what has been something that we've kept in our life, even though our kids aren't babies anymore. Sound and light machine is awesome. The Nanit camera is still great for supervising playroom. So like if kids are getting in a spat, you can go over and do voice of God with them, right? I see you, what are you doing? And even things like having like a drying rack that I thought I was just getting for like my breast pump or my bottles, it ended up it's still my drying rack today. So if you can find something that you can kind of project out and think, I'm going to keep using that, even from a sustainability standpoint, it might not be the ingredients of the product per se, but it's the lifespan of the product and being able to find different ways to use it. This is my sound machine.
Yes, Jamie, go to Jamie.
So there's been a lot of comments about breathable mattresses, and I just want to talk about this very quickly. A lot of people are bringing up Newton, and it's breathable. Newton makes a very, very good mattress. It is a very solid product. It's not like a match between like what makes the better mattress, but there is no test whatsoever for breathability in a mattress. There's a test for air permeability. And their product is very good. And you see the people like pressing their faces into it and breathing. I've also done that. Your baby is not doing that. They're not able to. So all of your mattresses are breathable. Air permeability is on a different kind of thing, but the Newton is very good. But don't think if your mattress is marketed as like breathable or not breathable, like you're fine.
Well, I also like products that transfer over to us adults. I see Giselle says that she has a canopy in her own bedroom, actually, and she loves the humidifier. So that's really cool to see. So for Colton, I want to know, let's talk about bonding with baby. And Brendan, you can jump in. Everybody can jump in. Like for me, I did skin to skin when they were little, but I still do it. I love to just put them here and just like breathe with them. It feels so good. So how do you plan to bond with your baby?
Well, the hospital that our surrogate's actually giving birth in has a bonding room. So just to start like that, it's really impressive. And I think as our society continues to be more accepting and loving, we're going to continue to have hospitals and this one's a birthing center that are going to sort of build that into their plans as they do that. So that's a huge start from the beginning, is for us to have our space, for our surrogate to have our space, her space as well with her family. And then for Jordan and I just doing this skin to skin, and I think not overcomplicating it, just because like we're two dads, we're still two parents, and it changes some products, it changes some mechanics, but we have support and help. Like these women who are egg donors and surrogates are incredible women, and they're an extension of our family in a way, and it's not as like people want to call it as transactional. Like it is a bond with them that's going to lead to a bond to the baby. So yeah, we're really excited. I don't have like a full answer of like a game plan, because I'm sure any game plan that we put together, it's going to go right out the window, and we're going to find out the hard way, like the first time the baby pees on you or has a blowout in the diaper. Like those are bonding experiences in itself as well.
Just get yourself a good like stretchy wrap, put the baby in, wear the baby all day.
I have more baby wraps and like carriers on my registry than anything else, because we love hiking, we love going out for walks, and I don't know what's going to be breathable for me and or like what is going to feel good. So I have like I'm not even exaggerating, like 12 different packs on. on the registry, just like figure out what I like.
Colton, I have like 15 of them. I'll send you some more. You guys, I can never figure out how to use them. So I might be the only person that didn't bond with the wrap. Did you use them, Brendan?
Colton, are you
Yep.
in Los Angeles?
I am.
You need to talk to Jamie because he's got a very good friend there that is.
I got you.
She will help you.
Great.
Yeah, she's flawless.
So
Incredible.
Brendan, what classes did you recommend pre-baby, post-baby?
Bad panelist for that one.
Oh,
Class
okay,
was-
I'll
No,
give you
we
mine.
did-
I'll give
the
you-
only thing we did was like the CPR and like kind of life-saving, which I was fantastic. And you know, I did all my life-saving 1, 2, 3. I don't know if they have that in America, Canada, for swimming, like stuff. And you think you know CPR, and you think but even if you do, someone was like, just do it, and you're like, an hour, what's it gonna be? You know, it seems like it's gonna be long. It is so refreshing, and you just feel like, you know, there's so many of your friends. I mean, I hope no one has that story, but like a bunch of my friends have had babies choke and thing, and you know, it's like just having that knowledge and a refresher course, even if you do have it, that maybe your partner doesn't, is phenomenal. But besides that, I didn't take any other courses. Just threw myself into the fire.
Morgan, let's see here. A bunch of people said they signed up for
I saw a
CPR.
question that I'm curious on too, just
Go ahead.
because I have my pup in the background. Do you guys have any tips or tricks for not only the baby introduction, but also like dog introductions for family? None?
Yes.
Yes.
You did?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
My friend Dominica runs an Instagram account called Dog Meets Baby, and that
Dog
is
meets baby.
all she does.
Great.
Find her.
I'm finding that, and we'll do my research.
For me, it was really like just when the babies are maybe like 2 months, a little bit older, starting to let the dog lick their feet, their face, and they're so not afraid of the dog now. The dog loves them. So it's just really that slow introduction. Okay, let's see here. So I will say class I recommend when your babies are a little bit older. My twins started swim class at 1, which is really a water safety class. So they go every week, but it's just, so it has to be one parent or one adult per child, obviously. And we do things like we just dip them in the water. My daughter will only go up to here. My son likes to go all the way, but it's just really so they're learning how to flip over so that they're comfortable in the water. I just highly recommend it.
Swim class is huge for young children.
Is
That's
it?
very important. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my number one thing too, because that's the scariest. Just water's the scariest
Yep.
thing.
At what age do you have to cover your pool? Because we have a pool and we haven't even like gotten to that point.
Now, right now.
Okay.
If you need a baby proofer, talk to me. I will find you the pool fence or baby proofer.
Or just like fence, you need something for sure.
Okay.
Correct. But for anyone that's looking for that, I will add, we have an organization that's across North America called the International Association for Child Safety of Pool Fencers and Baby Proofers, IAFCS.org. I'll write it in the chat in a second. You can find a baby proofer or a pool fencer, and crucial. There is a wonderful Instagram account that was started back in 2020 called the Silas Project after a mom's son died in a pool from going out a doggy door. And just her pool fence was delayed because of COVID stuff going on. So it's one of those things that, like, if you have a pool, please just get it done yesterday, because it's those very, very quick, silent, like you said, Brendan, swim lessons are so crucial. And through Silas Project, in case anyone's having difficulty affording swim lessons, especially infant self-rescue lessons, which are super cool and you can start around 6 months, they do scholarships. So I recommend checking out Silas Project for anyone that is feeling stuck in that area. I'll write the other website in the links though.
Thank you. And Carolyn just asked if there's any products that I would recommend for you twin parents out there. Number 1, the Twinsy pillow. So it's basically like a boppy for 2. So, you know, it's always a struggle trying to feed 2 at the same time, get 2 rest. It is a lifesaver, it is a game changer. It is my number 1 thing. I love them as much as Nanit, and that's saying a lot.
My sister has twins that just turned 14. And when they were born, I moved in with them for 6 months and like slept on the nursery floor, would get them up at night, get them ready, get Jennifer up and awake, help her get them latched on, get her water, and we would just like hang out for 30 minutes.
You're doing God's work.
No, I'm very close with my nieces and nephews. I was my nephew's, when my nephew was born, I was my sister's birth doula.
That's amazing.
So
So you're in there, so you've got the experiences too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. My
Okay.
sister had 18 double strollers in her garage when the twins were born. 18.
No lie, that's that. Like so many.
You just like made it rain on her.
No, I mean, it's all the companies were like, we need feedback. Bow. So
What are
That's
your guys' thoughts on the wearables that have like tracking capabilities for like baby's heart rate and breathing and all of that? Is that not?
Oh, good question. Okay, so the American Academy of Pediatrics basically says to avoid that if you can,
Right.
just because there's a lot of false positives. I will say the marketing is very strong and the marketing is very convincing. As a sidestep to that, thank you, Brendan, for your CPR comment. I'm a Red Cross first aid instructor. That's actually my bread and butter. I teach CPR both online and in person. But it's one of those things where making sure you're prepared with a CPR class is super, super important. And you know, having babies sleep in your room can greatly reduce a lot of that risk because your stirring actually causes them to stir, and it's a vicious cycle of no one getting any sleep, but it does help keep their breathing in check during those first few months. I know that those are very convincing with their marketing, but there are also other cool things that are coming out, not helpful to you now, but over the next few years, that will hopefully be not wearable, but helpful. Go ahead, Jamie.
I'm going to raise a hand. Since nesting is part of this, and I know you have a nested, Colton,
Yes.
the AAP does recommend having baby in the room with you for the first year. And because nesting does make a mini crib, mini cribs, that's another underrated product. I'm going to be completely honest.
I know.
Mini
You
cribs
just
are
did it.
flawless for having the baby in the room with you, especially like for smaller apartments. And I think mini cribs don't get the love that they deserve. Period.
Oh, I didn't know.
We just
like,
built our
I
mini
thought
crib.
I have a mini crib, 2 mini cribs,
Yeah.
yeah.
all our cribs were just mini that because we had nesting too, but they just mini and they just grow
Yeah.
into a bed.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, such a great investment.
So Bria just said, okay, Bria, I feel seen, said that she's afraid of the lack of sleep. Girl, getting pregnant at 41, I was afraid of the lack of sleep too. So I have no shame. I still have a night nanny. Not everybody can afford it, but I was like, this is one thing I'm gonna make it rain on because I'm tired and these kids don't sleep. But Zan just said that we need to follow for kids that don't sleep, my baby sleepology.
I will.
Talk to me.
Hand up
Go.
on that. I love that Zan is here. I work with Zan. She has single-handedly over the last year changed sleep regression from our son and now into our daughter. We've been super struggling for the last month and a half, and she's been fantastic. And I've recommended her to many people. So I love that you're here, Zan. Thanks for tuning in. And also, that is a good sleep coaching. At the start, someone was like, "What are they just going to tell you? Just let the baby cry or something?" I was like, I mean, they're professionals. I'm sure it's a little more involved in that. And then we moved forward with Zen, and it's been a total game changer.
There's also a really wonderful woman I have known and worked with for almost 15 years now named Rebecca Michi, M-I-C-H-I. She's based in Seattle. She has a book. She is wonderful. But I think like the good thing about people who are specialists in all of these fields is like everybody works a little differently, and you have to kind of like vet who you're working with because personalities matter and like their methodology is important. So do your research. And
also one last thing, just because I was noticing this, Zan recommended that we use a green light technique to keep someone's waking up at 5 or 4:30 and be like, "Hey, I'm ready for the day." And you're like,
That's me. Yeah.
And then I would negotiate with him for an hour, finally get him down, and then I'm up because I'm like, you know, he's sleeping. I'm like, this is awful for everyone. So we did this, like, she recommended doing like, do a green light and given some sort of this incentive. If he makes it to the green light, he would sit in bed for an hour at 6 being like, green light, come on, green light, come on, green light. But he would wait there until 7, and then he would come out, and it was like, and then he just started falling, like he'd, sleep till it. So just another Nanit sunlight, and I'd control it. If I'd see, he'd be in there for half an hour already saying it, then on the sound and light through the phone, I could be like, oh, I'll put the green light on at 6:30 so you can leave, and rather than like putting them through an hour of what I considered torture. So there's a lot of functionality with that.
Brendan dropping jewels. I'm gonna hit you up, Zan. Okay, so we have a question from Nicole. She says, same question as Courtney. What's the difference between the habit breathing band and the other products the monitor gives false positives? So I guess Jamie, Holly, do you know the answer to this one?
Yeah, so a lot of other products on the market, I won't mention them by name, but they have wires and sensors and all sorts of other things that are directly on the baby. And what Nanit does is it's just done by a pattern that there's like an algorithm in the camera that recognizes the pattern and can figure that out just from how the pattern is moving on baby's body, which is super, super cool. And originally that was just the breathing band that they had. And I think I got sent one of those back in like 2021. It's been out for a long time. But then recently they came out with breathing wear, which is like a full like sleeper, like long sleeve onesie. You can get different ones. And it's on the actual, it's just printed onto their pajamas, basically. And so just not having all of that extra stuff added on top of them in the crib is where a lot of that concern can come from. Questions about some burn risks with pulse oximeters that have happened. So yeah, just if you can take the tech off the baby as much you can and put it elsewhere and not touching them is basically the idea.
And Colton, we talked about all the things you're looking forward to. Was there anything that you were petrified about? Like, I'm not sure about that.
There's nothing that jumps out to me to say, but I think just like the overwhelming of like people having advice and tips for me has been a little like, I knew it was going to be bad, but like after like publicly announcing and talking about it on my podcast, the amount of opinions that are thrown my way and experts, I'll say that, experts that have products and then opinions on formulas and all these things. I think it's just important to remind, you know, my husband and I, when we're having our conversations, that it's our family and it's our choices. As long as we're taking care and loving our baby, we're doing the best we can. I think there's enough judgment and shame already in this world that we shouldn't do that as like the parental community.
Amen.
Well,
Correct.
Yeah.
I can't nod enough to that. So
Yeah, we should be listening to people like you who actually like invest in spending time with the products. Like my whole goal, I think I saw it earlier in the chat. My whole goal is just not to be one of those dads on TikTok that takes an hour to break a stroller down. There's like, how many dads does it take to break this stroller down? I just want to like, in the privacy of my home, give me 30, 40 minutes so I could really learn how to do this thing. So when I'm out in public, I don't make a complete fool out of myself.
You'll become a pro. Let's talk
Yeah.
about hacks, because I think parenting should be about smarter, not harder. So let's all go around and give some hacks. One is, okay, so I pumped for 4 months and then I was traveling for work too much. It's like, I'm just tired of this. So I love my Bobby subscription service. Obviously it's ended now because they're older, but for me, that was a game changer because the formula just kept coming, especially with twins. So that was definitely just like something to make my life easier. What about you all?
Ooh, okay, mine is going to be, to Colton's point, a mindset thing. And when it comes to safety, as a safety person, I think a lot of people think I'm a helicopter, and I am absolutely not. I am too tired to do that. So for me, it's always just focus on what is actually going to cause serious injury, prevent that. You're always going to have little bumps along the way. But even with things like baby proofing, you can get so overwhelmed. Just focus on the things that are going to prevent the most serious injury. And all of the little things else, those can come after. They can be reactionary, but we have to just focus on the important things. So for me, it's how to get some stairs, you know, make sure you've got a really good install on your car seat, you know how to use it correctly, use the straps on your baby gear, like Jamie said. Make sure that you're focusing on the serious stuff. The rest of the stuff, you know, that bumps happen and that doesn't make you a bad parent. It's just, it's better to focus and take that weight off your shoulder, please.
Yeah. Just stay present and don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's one of the biggest things, is like, people think if they're like messing up parenting and like, I don't have kids, I'm around a lot of kids, I have 7 nieces and nephews, and like, you know, ask for help. because it's not a reflection on your parenting style. If you don't know what you're doing, everybody starts at nothing, and get advice. Good
Brendan?
advice, though.
I was thinking two things. One, not directly for me, but obviously in a relationship. Oh man, the power's going to die on this thing. As far as isn't,
We only have 10 more minutes.
I
Can
know,
it
but
make
is LV pumps, wireless breast pumps, just because we were on the go a lot, and it really took the stress away from my wife of freaking out about being too close to somewhere, whatever. You kind of continue throughout your day, which is nice. And then two, on my side is just I really try, and even as a baby, like I never did baby talk. I just try to talk to our kid as if he's, just a real person, which I felt it has seemingly worked. I don't know if it's just our kid or not, but there's a level of trust and a level of respect rather than like treating him like you're so much more important and peer and like they're a little child than a puppy or something. I try, and it's just something that kind of worked for me, and someone told me along the way, and I thought it was cool, and we just been doing it, and it seems to be going well. But I think to everyone's point, they're all good, and that asking for help is a no-brainer, best thing you could ever do.
I don't know if it's technically proven, but to your point, the father of my kids, my baby daddy, was like, he wanted classical music every day. And I was like, this is corny, but we've done it every day for a year. And I will say those kids are really musically inclined. I don't know if there's anything else to that, but I think that that's a cool parenting hack.
Now, music is good.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yeah.
so
That's
much.
good. Sandra asked a question, which actually I want to know too. She says, what do we recommend for travel that one might not think of for a baby or a toddler?
I would say a good portable crib option. There are several on the market. Bugaboo Stardust is terrific. The Baby Bjorn Travel Crib Light is good. The Nuna Senna is a really solid one. You have the Guava Family Lotus. Silver Cross also has a really good portable crib right now. It's got like a little zipper thing so kids can like crawl in and out when they're older. I can rattle off products all day.
Yeah, to model to spec. It's crazy.
My
It's amazing.
apartment's a store.
When is
I knew
too
you
soon to
2.5 years
travel?
ago. Yeah.
When is
Go ahead,
too
Colton.
soon to travel with infants?
No, as my son has been to an odd amount of countries, which I've only been to like 2 or 3 by the time I was 20. So super respectful to have taken him everywhere we have. But I honestly, right immediately is way better than between 1 and 2. So like get your travel going and get them acclimatized and accustomed to the plane or van, car, whatever you're doing, because you see kids who haven't traveled and they are just, it's like an amusement park for them, and versus, I mean, every kid's different, obviously, but
Yeah.
if you just think it's normalized to you, our son is like super good on a plane, and it's just tough between 1 and 2 anyway, because they can't watch the TV or listen to anything, and they just want to look at every face and jump around and stuff. So, but right now, if you try in time, which happens maybe 50% of the time, because your flight gets delayed, which is also the worst, because you're like, I'm going to book this travel during their sleep, and then you sit on the runway for an hour while they sleep before you take off, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be the longest day of my life. But it's a nice time to travel early.
This is very random. Somebody's asking about the Slumber Pod blow up bed. I don't know that one, but there's one that Stoka has called the Cloud Sleeper. That is the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. For travel when they're a little bit older. You don't need a pump. You hit a little thing and it just like out. It's terrific. And then somebody's asking, is the Stoka high chair worth the price? I am a giant high chair nerd, and I would 100% say yes, because of proper foot support and positioning while they eat. I sit in a Stoka at my desk.
I would say, just on the travel, what the best, like, you said Pack and Plays, which I think, are they called travel cribs and Pack and Plays, like Ziploc? Is that one brand?
Yep.
They're all called Pack and Okay,
It all
I
works.
wasn't saying like a brand. But the best thing that we did is the Slumber Pod that goes over it. It's a tent. It rolls up into like, it's about, like a little, I don't know, this big, and it just folds out. It's a blackout tent. It's got a slot for the Nanit in the top, which is a plastic little window for it to look down. It's got ventilation on the side. But if you're sharing a hotel room with your kid, which we are all the time when we travel, they have their own blackout zone. You don't have to be sitting there with your flashlight trying to read something. You can have your lights full on bright in the hotel room, and it's completely blacked out in there, and it is incredible. And that's probably
there's another company randomly, it's a different kind of situation, but it's called Otter Space Sleep, and they make travel blackout curtains, and they are hands down the best thing I've ever seen.
But where are the
Otter,
curtains?
like the animal.
Yeah,
Otter
I know, but
Space.
where are you hanging the curtains?
It's like a magnet system that you put in your hotel windows or when you travel, and it puts a blackout curtain in place. Or like in an apartment you live in.
What if you have 5 sliding doors in Miami or something that you're looking at, like a beach?
That's different.
Yeah,
Better have a whole lot of otters. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So Bo asks, okay, what's recommended for bathing now? I guess this will probably be our last question. Bathtubs, kitchen sinks. I'll let the pros answer this just from mom's standpoint. I had the Lalo, right? These kids are in the kitchen sink now. Let's keep it real. Like they're at the kitchen. I don't know if that's the safety recommendation, but that's the mom recommendation.
It's completely fine as long as the water's not too hot and like you don't have knives laying around. But I guess because I started in New York, I kind of veer towards more space-saving items. And when I am working with people and like recommending bathtubs, the Flexi Bath by Stoka, hands down, is one of my favorite things out there. Boone also makes really great collapsible bathtubs. And I think those are great. Those would be my 2 go-to.
So the only thing I'll add from the safety perspective, and I mentioned this a little bit in the chat to someone else, the American Academy of Pediatrics just warns against bath seats. And bath seats, to be clear, they're like these little positioning devices. They have a backrest for a baby to kind of help them sit physically upright. So it would be a baby ideally that has head control. And then like this little E-bar that goes across the front. They don't recommend them because there have been cases where the babies slipped out. They typically have suction cups on the bottom, but the baby's either slipped out through one side or tilted over. And parents just, I think, get a false sense of security that something's holding their baby. They forget a towel, they forget something. To come all the way back to Brendan's point again, drowning is like the scariest thing in terms of injury, just because drowning is always silent. So my one thing with bath time is, if you can avoid the gimmicky stuff, like a bath seat, hands-on is the most important thing. Get help from someone else if you need to wait for someone else to be there to help you. Wait. And just make sure that you're always supervising. Yeah. It's best to be prepared in advance, have everything ready, and then do the bath, because those distractions, it's not worth the risk.
I know that there's a product on the market right now I'm not going to name that is basically a sliding like accordion wall that keeps the water in the bathtub and not on your floor. Absolutely nothing should come between you and your baby at bath time. And like, don't be afraid to get in the bath with your kid. Like, it's not that deep.
Let's end this on a note of advice. Colton, from you as a dad to be, from you as the experts, Brendan as you as a father, just throw everybody like a little word of advice or a mantra or whatever. Jamie, I'm going to go to you. You've had your hand up. I'm putting you in the hot seat first.
Oh, I'm going to be first?
Yes.
Oh, Lord. Give yourself grace. That's it.
Holly?
That was basically mine. I probably spent with the first 2 weeks of being a mom crying in a bathtub, no exaggeration. And I just wish I could go back and give myself a hug sometimes. Just being gentle with yourself. And it is such an adjustment. It is like the most wild adjustment you could ever go through. And everything that you thought life was before, it's now completely different. Priorities are shifted. And it can be really hard. So yeah, give yourself grace. Just be gentle on yourself. Take a minute to take care of yourself, Jamie.
I need to piggyback on that too, because a friend of mine, Laura Benanti, she's well known on Broadway and everything. And we talked quite a bit about things like this when she had her first child. And she's like, one of the hardest things about this is, you know, you have this baby, and regardless of if the baby grew in you or someone else, the baby is now a stranger in your house that you have to get to know. And it might take you a lot of time to bond with that kid, and you don't need to feel bad about that.
Colton
So-
is our daddy to be. Sorry, Jerry, anything you're living by right now? Any mantra?
I mean, I don't know if I have like a mantra that I'm living by. I would just say like this has been so great and helpful and real. I think like so often you get caught up on social media and like trending videos, and like you gotta remind ourselves that it's all like edited and perfection and putting that out. So like having conversations like this where I can like learn. My husband, quite literally, if you see me looking down, it's because the text is now like Otter Space, Stoke, Jet Kids, find CPR class. It's like all of the notes of this conversation he's like putting so that we can discuss tonight later. So thank you for that. And I don't know, this has been lovely and helpful. And I think someone said it earlier, but just don't be afraid to ask for help, because I certainly am not afraid to say I do not have this figured out.
And Brendan, what you got there?
I would just say, you're not the only one going through this. You know, like just remind yourself, like it's not the first, you're not the first one. You know, someone's doing it the exact same time. Someone, you know, like we're all dealing with this. Your situation is just as bad as someone's is worse. Yours is better. You know, like just don't get caught up in like my life is over. This is so insane. Like, how am I going to go to work today with on this half an hour of sleep? Like everyone's done it. It's the craziest thing to think about. You're like, wait, everyone's operated through all this. Like it's not just you. Your life isn't ending. It's literally the greatest thing ever. Just like power through it and understand. Like also the one thing I always remind myself of is like it was way worse 30 years ago or 40, like in every way, shape, and form. So like
Yeah.
whatever you think you're doing badly, everything around you and all the advice is helping you more so than, and everyone survived 100 years ago, 200 years, you know, like we all survived without all this stuff too. So just give yourself some grace.
And mine would be to take us home. Parenting is fun. Like I feel like there's so many, it's gonna be scary, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that. When the twins turned one, I looked at them and it was like a sigh of relief. I was like, oh damn, we survived. And then I took a deep breath. And it's gonna be hard, but it's actually fun. So with that, I just want to thank our panelists, and I want to thank all of you for joining. Of course, thank Nanit and all of our co-sponsors. And don't forget, email Nanit, social@nanit.com for your chance to win everything on your registry. We appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time at our next Registry Real Talk.